There's a moment in every person's life when the illusion cracks. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly like a hairline fracture spreading through glass. You realize that what people say and what people do don't always match. You notice that effort doesn't always equal reward. You sense that kindness alone doesn't guarantee respect. And in that moment, you have two options. Retreat back into comforting stories, or upgrade your perception. This isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming clear. For the next 30 minutes, we're going to sharpen your perception. So precisely that manipulation feels obvious, strategy becomes second nature, and emotional traps lose their grip on you. You won't become cynical. You'll become calibrated. You won't become paranoid. You'll become perceptive. And once your perception sharpens, something powerful happens. You stop reacting. You start anticipating. You stop feeling confused. You start seeing patterns. And people, they feel the difference. Because there is nothing more intimidating than someone who sees through the room without saying a word. Let's begin with the first shift. Words are theater. Behavior is truth. Imagine watching a magician. He speaks confidently. He gestures dramatically. He distracts your eyes. But the real trick isn't happening where he points. It's happening where you're not looking. Human communication works the same way. Most people evaluate others based on language, promises, explanations, declarations. But research in behavioral psychology shows that language is often a social smoothing tool, not a truth device. Dr. Timothy Levine's truth default theory explains something critical. Humans are wired to assume honesty by default. This makes society functional. But it also makes you vulnerable. Here's the shift. Stop evaluating intent based on words. Start evaluating intent based on patterns. Patterns require time. Words require seconds. If someone claims loyalty but disappears when inconvenience appears, that's data. If someone praises you publicly but undermines you privately, that's data. Ask yourself, are you listening to sentences or observing consistency? Exercise. For the next 14 days, track behavior over language. Keep a mental ledger. Promise made. Action taken. Time gap. You'll start seeing alignment or misalignment everywhere. Micro conclusion. Clarity begins when you separate performance from pattern. But this leads to a deeper question. Why do people behave inconsistently in the first place? That brings us to the second shift. Section 2. Self-interest is the engine of human behavior. This concept makes people uncomfortable because we want to believe altruism drives the world. But neuroscience suggests something more precise. The brain's reward circuitry activates when we help others. Yes, but it activates because helping aligns with our identity, reputation, or emotional reward. Even generosity produces internal benefit. This is not evil. It's wiring. Economist Adam Smith, long before behavioral science, wrote about enlightened self-interest. Even cooperation emerges because it serves survival. Here's the transformation. When you understand that everyone filters decisions through, how does this affect me? You stop taking decisions personally. Betrayal stops feeling mystical. It becomes mathematical. Example. Imagine a colleague choosing a promotion over loyalty. Were they malicious or were they optimizing for advancement? You don't have to like it, but you can predict it. Power lies in prediction. Reflection question. Where in your life have you assumed loyalty without shared incentives? New rule. Alignment beats affection. Relationships last when interests align. They collapse when they don't. Affirmation number 1. I build alliances, not illusions. Micro conclusion. When you understand incentives, you understand outcomes. But What about fairness? That's the third shift. Merit is not the main currency. You were likely raised on a formula. Work hard, be good, get rewarded. That formula feels moral. It also feels incomplete. Sociologist Robert Merton introduced the concept of the Matthew effect. Advantage compounds. Those with early leverage gain more leverage. Effort matters. But leverage multiplies effort. Visibility amplifies talent. Connections accelerate opportunity. Hard work without positioning often stays invisible. So what changes when you accept this? You stop asking, is this fair? You start asking, is this effective? Example, two equally skilled employees. One networks strategically. One stays silent and hopes performance speaks. Guess who advances? It's not corruption. It's signaling theory. Organizations reward perceived value, not hidden value. Challenge. Audit your life. Where are you relying on merit alone? Add one lever. Visibility. Relationships. Timing. Scarcity. Micro-conclusion. Merit opens the door. Leverage pushes it. But now comes a harder truth. Different people operate under different constraints. Power changes the rulebook. In social hierarchies, consequences are asymmetrical. Behavioral economist Dan Ariely demonstrated that people rationalize rule-breaking when perceived benefit outweighs perceived risk. Power reduces perceived risk. The more insulated someone is, financially, socially, legally, the more flexible the boundaries become. This isn't conspiracy thinking. It's risk psychology. However, and this is critical, this does not mean abandon integrity. It means understand leverage. If you have no leverage, you face maximum enforcement. If you have leverage, negotiation enters the picture. Strategic takeaway. Build insulation. Build optionality. Build scarcity. The goal is not rule breaking. The goal is independence. Affirmation number 2. I increase my leverage before I increase my risk. Micro-conclusion. Power isn't loud. It's optionality. Now, let's address something more personal. Not all smiles signal safety. Betrayal rarely arrives from declared enemies. It arrives from proximity. Social psychologists call this competitive coexistence. People can support you and compete with you simultaneously. Watch for micro-signals. Backhanded compliments. Minimizing achievements. Fishing for confidential information. Celebrating publicly but discouraging privately. Exercise. Ask yourself, who celebrates your success without qualification? True allies amplify you when absent. Strategic boundary. Information should be tiered. Level 1, public. Level 2, professional. Level 3, inner circle. Not everyone qualifies for level 3. Affirmation number 3. Access to me is earned. Micro-conclusion. Closeness without alignment is risk. But what about vulnerability? Let's clarify that next. Strategic vulnerability versus emotional exposure. Modern culture promotes vulnerability as universal virtue, but context determines safety. Research on social dominance hierarchies shows that perceived competence strongly influences respect. Vulnerability builds connection when trust exists. Premature vulnerability creates imbalance. Think of it like encryption. Sensitive information requires secure channels. If someone hasn't demonstrated discretion, why provide ammunition? This doesn't mean suppress emotions. It means cured audience. Practical rule. Struggles are shared upward for mentorship, shared inward for bonding, never scattered outward for validation. Affirmation number 4. I reveal strategically, not impulsively. Micro-conclusion. Strength isn't silence. It's selective transparency. Now we reach the final shift. You are already in the arena. Even if you reject competition, it doesn't reject you. In every workplace, friendship circle, industry, positioning exists. Some people maneuver subtly. Some pretend they aren't maneuvering. Some refuse to maneuver and get maneuvered around. Game theory explains this elegantly. If others act strategically and you do not, you become predictable. Predictable players lose optionality. Strategic awareness is not manipulation. It is navigation. Key questions. How am I perceived? Who benefits from my passivity? What move strengthens my position? You don't need aggression. You need intentionality. Affirmation number 5. I move with awareness. Micro conclusion. Seeing the board changes your behavior. Let's tie this together. You now understand. Words are performance. Patterns are truth. Self-interest drives decisions. Leverage multiplies effort. Power shifts consequences. Proximity requires discernment. Vulnerability requires calibration. Strategy is unavoidable. This knowledge may feel heavy. It may feel isolating. But here's what separates wisdom from paranoia. Wisdom sharpens perception without poisoning empathy. You don't become suspicious of everyone. You become observant. You don't assume malice. You evaluate incentives. You don't abandon integrity. You combine integrity with intelligence. And that combination, that's rare. That's powerful. That's intimidating. Because most people operate on autopilot. You are operating on awareness. The challenge now, don't weaponize this knowledge recklessly. Use it to protect your energy, build aligned alliances, increase leverage, strengthen boundaries, position yourself intentionally. Look at your life tonight through this lens. Were you overexposed? Were you underleveraged? Were you passive in an active arena? Write this in the comments. I choose awareness because awareness is step 1. Execution is step 2. And the next video, that's where we move from awareness to tactical application. Welcome to clarity. It's quieter than illusion, but infinitely more powerful.